Every life has a story, and every story is worth sharing. Your story, my story, and our story speak of victory and defeat, joy and sorrow, resilience and vulnerability. They are not just our story, they are Christ's story in us. They are Kingdom Stories from Down Under.
You know, in your network, they always say it's important to have a rabbi and a lawyer if possible. On Kingdom Stories from Down Under tonight, we are blessed to have Mabel Chua. She's a lawyer. I don't know if she's a rabbi. Maybe her husband is a bit of a rabbi. We'll have him later on. But tonight, ladies and gentlemen, we welcome Mabel. Mabel, thank you so much for coming to Kingdom Stories from Down Under.
Thanks, Nathaniel, to be mentioned along the same lines as rabbis. It can be a little bit intimidating, but...
You know, I grew up in Romania, and I met a good friend of mine, and he said, Natanael, you know how I did my schooling? He's a performer. Oh, he's an artist, and he's just amazing. He's a Christian artist, but he's just amazing. He just builds rapport with anybody very fast. And he said to me, what my parents did to me, they said every summer they send me somewhere to spend the summer with somebody. Oh, but I didn't understand why. And they said once they sent me with the gypsy family to become street smart. One summer they sent me with a rabbi to understand what, you know, legalistic Jewish tradition means. One summer they sent me with nuns in a monastery. So that's how he developed everything. So that's what I'm saying in life.
He's well-rounded.
He said in life, you got to have a rabbi as a friend, you know, a lawyer. And maybe somebody who's street smart as well, you know.
I'm sure there will be a joke in there somewhere, but I just can't find one at the moment.
That's fine. Did you choose law by volition, like you wanted to do law, or was something that you just sort of grew into?
Yeah, look, I'm just blessed because law was something my dad actually said and recommended that I consider. Because he has been, in his business life, he has been blessed by having great lawyers who are great allies for his business, and being so touched by, you know, and changed by what his lawyer has done in negotiation, contracts, and so on and so forth. He was saying, you know, you should be a lawyer because you can really help people. So I just listened to my parents, you know, during days when you do listen to your parents, but you know, I'm so blessed I did.
So you grew up in a very honoring culture.
Well, I suppose we do, but probably also just in our home environment, honoring and listening to our parents is actually quite a normal thing. Yes. And we have actually reaped the fruit. Yes. You know, of listening to our parents and not making really bad choices.
Yeah. That's it's nice to see somebody esteeming their parents. And, you know, I think now doing it is quite okay, but to do that when you're a teenager, it's a different story. So your dad must have kept a really good connection with you during that period of life.
Yeah, look, my dad and myself, obviously, you know, relationships change over time with parents. I would say that over the years, the relationship has deepened to understanding. Not just thinking, you know, parents know best and just listen. I really understood the context.
Yeah, the reasoning behind. And the love.
Yeah, exactly.
How many brothers and sisters were you?
I have one brother, one younger brother.
Young. So you did your dad have a soft spot for you?
Well,
Daddy's girl?
Yeah, I don't know actually. I thought that dad was quite strict with both myself and my brother. Yeah. I would say that our relationship...
Strict or firm?
Strict and firm, both. Okay. So when he says no to something, it's a no. You know, you don't kind of challenge it and go, well, is that a rubbery no or is that a firm no? You just go, you know it's a no.
So you grew up in Malaysia.
I did. I grew up in Malaysia.
Your dad is Chinese?
Yes.
And
Mum and dad are Chinese. So
Chua obviously is a Chinese name.
Yeah, Chua is my husband's surname. Yeah.
Okay.
My maiden surname's Lee.
Lee again. And which part of Malaysia?
I was born in a town called Ipoh, which is on the west side of Malaysia, but I lived for about 10 years another town called Kuching,
Okay.
which is on the other side of Malaysia.
Oh yeah, on Kalimantan, on Borneo.
Yeah, in Borneo. Correct.
Yeah.
You've been there?
I've been there, love it.
Oh, good. Great food.
Yeah, great food. I had the steamboat
Oh, yes.
in Kuching and lots of bananas, and monkeys ate my bananas when I went up to the temple to pay my tributes. No, you know what I mean.
I know what you mean. Yeah.
Wonderful place. I love Kuching.
Yeah.
We flew into Kuching a few times, and they actually had flights from Perth direct to Kuching for a while. AirAsia did, I think.
I think it was only like once a week.
Yeah, but still, direct flight to Kuching was something. And they also had flights to Kuta Kinabalu direct from Perth.
That's right.
And that's quite a nice place. Same island, totally different. Scuba diving, beautiful beaches.
Yes, indeed.
But, we've done mission work not far from Kuching. Only a night's drive.
Oh, yes.
So we used to fly into Kuching and catch
Yes.
the bus overnight all the way towards Pontianak, and somewhere along the line we got dropped off in the middle of the jungle, which was beautiful.
It's a really amazing thing. I think, I don't know how many years ago, 70s, 80s, missionaries invested their lives in Borneo. So really, Sarawak, through the indigenous people, in the indigenous community, there are a lot
the Dayaks,
a lot of them are 98%, 99% Christians.
Yeah. The beauty was that they were animists. They weren't yet converted to Islam, so there was easier work in a sense, harder work in one way, but easier because they haven't been deformed. The harder part was the fact that they didn't let go of the traditional, so they put Christianity on top of their traditional beliefs. So a lot of the times they still practiced, behind the scenes, a lot of their traditional ancestry worship. But more and more the younger generation are receiving the Lord, which is beautiful.
Yeah.
So grew up in Kuching until what age? When did you move to Australia?
I moved to Australia in my teens.
With your parents?
Yes, with my parents.
They migrated or
migrated to Australia.
On a work visa or
I don't even know what sort of visa it was.
The legalities of it all back
legalities.
then.
Yeah, I was a teenager.
Matter.
I just know that we're moving to Australia.
Was it exciting? Do you remember when they broke the news?
Yeah, I was excited, to be honest. It's just that adventure, of moving to a foreign land that's really far away.
Yeah.
To see kangaroos and just having a new environment. I think I was very happy to move.
So how old were you?
I was in my teens, I don't know, like 15 or whatever it is.
So you came
14.
here, was your English your second language or first language?
Well, English was widely spoken in Malaysia, as you know, being a Commonwealth country. But conversationally, we don't use it as much as we do now.
What were you speaking at home?
At home, multiple Chinese dialects mixed with English.
Okay. More like a Singaporean Hong Kong. No.
Probably a little bit different, but we can, in a conversation, you can actually mix 2 or 3 dialects and English together. So if you're on a fly on a wall, it makes a very funny conversation.
And Malay, could you speak Malay?
I did, but don't ask me about Malay now. I might be able to order food in Malay, that's it.
Okay, I won't. And so you migrated to Perth as a teenager. What year did you go into when you came here? Do you remember?
Oh, I can't remember.
What school?
Well, I was actually a public school girl, so I went to Rossmoyne.
Well, one of the best schools in the States.
Oh, well, I'm not sure what it was at the time, but...
You made it. That's why, it is now.
Yeah, it was a great community, and very, it was competitive then, and it's still competitive now. I think, the culture of working hard has always been there in the roots of that school.
Wonderful. So you decided to go to law school?
Yeah.
Straight from, so you achieved the high score necessary to go into law?
Well, enough to get into law, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and
where did you go?
I went to UWA.
UWA.
Yes.
And how challenging was that?
Look, at the time when we did university, when you want to do law, you must pick law with another degree altogether, so double degree. So went into it with commerce and law. So actually, at the start, when I started commerce and law, I thought to myself, I'm not going to practice law. I just love the commerce aspect of it. I did
Yeah.
accounting and finance, it's
Okay.
numbers and,
Yeah.
it's challenging projects, project finance, really fun. But as law continues to unfold
Yes.
and as we learn a little bit more about it, and I think my dad identified something in me,
Sure.
but also God did something in my heart during the course, and really stirred up an interest
Yes.
in the subjects that I was doing. So I decided really only almost my final year that law is what I want to pursue rather than commerce. Although I'd still use the commerce degree, knowledge very much in what we do
Of course.
now. Yeah.
And they tie in together.
They do.
Because you're a commercial, you do commerce law
I do,
anyway.
yeah, that's
wonderful,
right. I still have to
wonderful.
read balance sheets and.
So, what was your first job out of uni?
My first job out of uni, so not during uni, because
So
during
during
uni I was
uni-
just waitressing.
Oh, you were doing waitressing. Wonderful.
Yeah, like many of the student population, you have to do that to earn
Good.
your keep.
Good.
And my first job out of uni was in a firm called Summers Partners at the time. And I was with that firm for a little bit more than 10 years.
Whoa.
Yeah,
Did you get a
there's good
watch?
innings, right? No, I didn't get a watch. You don't need
You
a
have
watch.
to do 25 years for that.
Well, I was forever grateful for all the opportunities that I
Were
was
you
given
exposed
to
to
learn.
many
aspects. Oh yeah, definitely.
Steep learning curve?
Definitely. Like any job, like a
Long
first
hours?
job. Sometimes. I don't know what constitutes long hours nowadays. It's a
12
12
is
hour
normal.
is 12-hour days normal, or is 10-hour days normal? We do get some long days, and sometimes we do have to work over the weekend. But I think it's just part of job, part of working and servicing the client excellently. Yeah, you just have to put in a time.
How did your Christian walk develop? Were your parents Christians?
Well, my mum is a believer, but when I was growing up, my dad wasn't a believer.
Yes.
So
Buddhist or not following anything?
free thinker,
Yeah.
but not adverse to things as spiritual. He was always open. Mum brought me to Sunday school.
So how did your mum come to faith?
I don't know exactly. I think there are some roots there through family ties that it's just quite nominal, like Anglican background.
Sure.
But she had her own radical encounter.
Okay.
But before her radical encounter, when she just thought that sending a child to Sunday school was a good thing to do for
many
child's
parents
development.
would have thought that. Yeah.
And hence I was and good child minding facility as
Yes.
well, isn't it?
For free.
Exactly. So went to Sunday school, and to be honest, I never really enjoyed Sunday school. I was I just basically stared at people and let people do what they did, and I was just a bystander. So
wait
never
for it.
never
Not connected. Not
never really real. Faith wasn't really real when I was a child. Faith only became real to me when I was 21.
How did that happen?
Well, it's a great story. When I was growing up, more so in my teens, for some reason I just had this profound sense of sadness about life. Like, I don't know what it is. I just felt like maybe I'm just not good enough. Days I would cry myself to sleep and not really understanding why.
Was it a search for meaning?
I think
or identity?
when I look back at it now, it is a search for meaning and a search for relating, because all of us have that emptiness in our souls,
Yes.
And I had to go through that in order to find really what I was looking for. And so when I was 21, I attended a church camp, the church that I'm attending now. Actually,
Who introduced you to that?
It's actually a friend, my mum's friend's daughter connected me to it. And so again, forever grateful for those people who have actually just joined the dots together and took me to this camp. And I just remember every session.
So they were teenagers, young adults?
Yeah, mainly university-aged students. It was a student ministry sort of camp, a winter camp.
Down south? Or?
It was at Araluen.
Oh,
I don't even
nice.
know whether it's still there. There was an Araluen...
Botanical garden.
It's near next to the Botanic Gardens, but it's actually a set of chalets or dormitories.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah. So it was winter camp. We were freezing our bums off, but it was just a wonderful experience of encountering God. And every time there was a altar call, I was out there giving my heart to God.
Over and over again.
Yeah, just let His love wash over me. And yeah, that was a radical encounter.
It was real for you.
Very, very real. Just knowing God as real and present. He's not far away.
How did you get over the reasoning in your mind? How
did you... I never thought about it as a reasoning sort of thing.
Yeah.
Maybe it's just the way I'm wired. I just know what felt right.
Okay.
And at that time, I just felt like what I'm experiencing, I could not explain it, but I know it felt right. And I know it made me feel whole.
Okay, so you didn't feel insecure. It was real. It was happening.
It was real. It was happening. God was present and His love was real.
Yes.
And I just feel this sense of, as I say, it's like the love of God just washing over me. His goodness and His virtues is washing over me. It just felt like a real transformation.
So when you came back?
Yeah, I was different. So I started buying like Christian CDs. My first Christian CD was "Shout to the Lord."
Yes, beautiful.
If you remember "Shout to the Lord," with Darlene, I think it was one of the earlier Hillsong recordings, and I just used to play it all the time at home.
Darlene Chick is a good friend.
Oh right! Oh, there you go. Yeah, yes.
So beautiful.
Yeah.
And what did your mum say and your dad?
I don't remember them saying much to me, but I suppose they would have actually witnessed the life change.
Yes.
And they probably also witnessed...
Because you were living at home, right?
Yeah, I was living at home at the time. And they probably also witnessed behaviour change.
And I'm sure they would have liked that.
Yeah, I hope so.
So did you get baptised?
Funny enough, I got baptized in an Anglican church in my teens, right?
Or before that?
Before that, so this is years ago.
In Australia or back there?
Back in Malaysia. And I got re-baptized by my husband.
Oh, later on?
Yeah, much later on. I just felt like, no, this is something that I do want to do.
Yeah.
And my husband baptized me.
Beautiful. He's a manly, godly man.
Yeah, I think so too.
Wonderful. And so you obviously started following the Lord. So you had this Christian perspective when you studied law as well.
I did.
Did you make the connection with the responsibility and what it means to justice, righteousness, ethical, moral attributes of God's law?
So this is what I will say. I'll say that when I was studying, whilst I knew that God was a just God, and God desires justice and righteousness, I don't think I really understood at the time really what God's justice really meant.
Yes.
And even now, I find myself learning, unlearning, and relearning what God's justice actually really means. And I think as I continue in my practice and continuing to see how justice outworks in the legal system, through the legal system, in people's lives, justice is not about exacting punishment on someone. And sometimes when we think of law, we think about
winners and
losers, and we think about someone who deserves punishment because they've done a crime. But a lot of times, and even in my experience working commercial, a lot of times things are quite grey. You can't really kind of exact punishment on somebody for something that's done. It's about really more about God's restorative justice that is undergirded by love. His love for humanity. And seeing that outworked in people's lives, so that justice is about what that person in God's original design should have.
Yes.
You know, should be entitled to.
So you named your practice Micah 6:8.
Yeah, it's called M68 for Micah 6:8. Which means, yes, you know, act justly, love mercy, and walk humbly before your God.
Is that your life motto?
Probably is. It's a bit cool, isn't it, to say it's a life motto? But I'll say that it challenges me daily.
Yeah, it's a reminder.
It's a reminder, and also a really great path to follow. You know, how do I walk humbly before God?
Yeah.
And one aspect of walking humbly in faith is to actually act with justice, but undergirded by love.
Yeah, because
and
everything
mercy.
is summed up in love. I mean, you can't have mercy without love. You can't have justice without love. You can't walk humbly without loving the object of your walk.
That's God's justice.
Yeah.
You know, yeah.
Do you get to shine Jesus?
We try to.
In this
in every.
This is a very strange world. Most people are not familiar with this, you know, sphere, the law and governance.
Yeah.
And you know, business also. There's a lot of evil. There's a lot of darkness. There's a lot of pain. There's a lot of hurt.
Yeah.
There's a lot of losses. There's a great opportunity, obviously, as well.
It is, and I think the light, God's light, when it can, just a little bit of light in a place of darkness makes a huge difference.
Have you had a client who said to you, "You're different," or what is about you?
Some people do say that.
Can you pinpoint a particular case where you receive some feedback?
Well, we do receive feedback quite often that they appreciate our honesty.
Yes.
Because there's a reputation that lawyers are expensive, they rip people off, you know, and they kind of lead people down a garden trail. And what we really try to do is just work out right from the start, you know, just have some honest talk here.
Yeah.
What are we talking about, and where are we going? What are some of the chances of success? You know, talk through that and being really open to a client, so that they know where they stand. And so we really try to add value in that way, and also to highlight that justice in the realm of different possibilities.
Yes.
What is really what could be the most just and most fair outcome in the circumstances.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's in a way it's a ministry, isn't it?
It is a ministry.
Because what you're doing is you're not just sorting out their issues, you're reconciling them to themselves a lot of the times, to their partners, to their business people, to their business,
and to their creator.
Yeah, and back to God,
to their
which
creator.
is the most important thing.
Yeah. So there are many times when you know, we do try and sow seeds. It disguised in legal advice, but really sowing seeds.
You language it differently. Obviously, we're not bringing Bible verses there.
Yeah, but it's biblical principles.
Yes,
at
but
work.
the principles. Yeah. So what I say to people, you know, my service is not a Christian service, but I am Christian. Do you know what I mean?
And it's done with Christian values.
Yeah. So the program, you know, your service is not a Christian service, but is done with your identity, which is a Christian identity. So you bring to the table those values. Yeah,
we bring to the table those values in really the outcome, if we can, to the best that we can, you know, navigate to an outcome, but also in the way that we do it, how we deal with people, how we talk to people.
Yeah.
We don't see a head and kick it.
No.
You know, we don't see a penny and grab it.
Yes.
Because that's really that's not honoring of God.
Sure.
And that's not honoring of people.
Yeah, it's just valuing everybody.
Yeah.
As a
expression of learning. Yeah, of loving people.
And God's creation. Where did you meet your husband?
Met my husband in church.
Well, that's a good place to meet her.
Oh, isn't
your
it?
future husband.
Did you meet your wife in church?
I did.
Oh, well, there you go.
I was preaching and I saw her while I was preaching because she was the tallest girl in the room and the most beautiful girl in the room. And I think my sermon wasn't that great that day.
Oh, yeah. So met him. We were in the same Connect group. So in our church, we
so this is post uni, after uni?
After uni, yeah.
Okay.
So we were in the same Connect group together, hung out with friends, we go out eating as we young people usually do.
Yeah.
And just over the course of time, you know, friends became best friends, and that's how things go. I'm sure you know the story, you know the drill.
He worked out the courage, or you worked out the courage to approach?
Oh, look, so long ago. I don't exactly remember. I just don't remember how it was when we went together. I just remember times when we were together.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
Like, just don't really remember.
How did he propose to you?
He proposed during Hillsong conference. Not at the conference, but when we...
You flew to Sydney?
We went to Sydney and we were staying in an apartment with some other people who went to conference together. And those days, Hillsong Conference used to be over 5 nights.
Yeah, full on.
It was pretty full on. And
at a stadium
in a stadium, and at the end of it, everyone gets a Hillsong Conference flu, you know. But anyway, he has already said, look, we'll take Wednesday night off because usually that's like a very good valve reliever and just kind of reset your body, and you go full on again. So we took Wednesday night off and we went out for dinner. In fact, I didn't want to go for dinner. I said we should really just get takeaway. I didn't know that he actually had dinner booked. Yeah, just us together, and he proposed.
That's beautiful. Wow, nice views of Sydney Harbour. Were you near the harbour? Or?
Yeah, we love the Sydney Harbour. Yeah, just love walking along that area.
I love it too. I like jogging around there.
Okay. I don't jog. I'm not built to jog.
No. don't even try it. It's not for everybody. That's wonderful. Now, you've also had challenges. Obviously, you wanted to have children for many years, and we've gone through the same challenge for 11 years. How difficult was that for you?
Look, I think I wouldn't say it was just the hand we're dealt, and we're just grateful for each other, and we're grateful for what God has planned for us, and I know that He's not finished with us, and also just looking at the possibilities rather than the impossibilities.
Sure.
You know, the possibilities of the time that we have, that we can sow into other people's lives, that we can invest. So
which leads me to that question: what's the ministry that you're involved in at the moment?
Really, I think generally, and then also specifically, I'll just mention it. Generally, I just love being with people and in situations to bring out the best and to bring out its full potential.
Yes.
Right? And so whether it's in law, in practice, you know, a lot of things that we do when we're putting transactions together, it's nice to actually like unpack the potential of the commercial relationship.
Yeah.
And when we're resolving issues, just unpacking the potential of a restored relationship.
Yeah. So they have the trust now. They trust in you at that time.
Well, trust is very important, you know, in any relationship, and particularly in the client-solicitor relationship. And in the in church, I serve in the worship and creative arts ministry, working with people. And so, what really blesses my heart is just seeing people rise to their potential.
Yeah.
So whatever I can do to add value to that.
You're mentoring somebody at the moment?
I suppose you can call it mentoring or just sowing and giving, whatever it is, whatever you want to call it, label it. Yeah, we're just really there to invest in people and just loving people.
And your parents still in Perth?
Yeah, parents are still in Perth.
They celebrate what you're doing?
They do. They
Very
do.
fond?
Yeah. Well, they come to the church that we attend.
Okay. What's this church?
It's called Kingdom Light. We meet in
Kingdom Light.
Coburn.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Wonderful. And is it a mixed Asian Australian church, or is it more Australian?
Probably a little bit more Asians.
Yeah.
But quite a few Caucasian family, even families from South Africa, family from, and not just like Chinese, with a Thai family, and Indian families. Yeah.
Perth is very interesting, and so is Australia. For our people who watch us from overseas, is because Australia is so multi-ethnic. It is. It's such a melting pot. In every church, you'll find even if in that church there was only one person, he or she would come from 2 or 3 backgrounds anyway. But like even in our church, we've got maybe 9 or 10 ethnicities, if not more.
Yes.
And we're only a smaller church.
Yes.
And but that is very common. Very common.
It is very common, and also as you say, it can be someone who's Indian ethnically, but they are 3rd generation South African.
Yeah.
Right. I'm Chinese ethnically, but I'm multiple generation. Don't know how many generations.
But you were born in Malaysia.
Yeah, and they're
Australians
now.
So.
Yeah. So that's just
beautiful.
part of being Australian.
What's the legacy like to leave for the generations that come after you, that follow?
I suppose maybe I can answer it this way. If in my life I can use the time and the resources that God has given me to just lift people higher and to lift community higher, I would have done my job. I would have served God's purpose for the generation.
Beautiful.
The purpose of restoration of all things.
Mm-hmm.
Because God's restoring the world. He's restoring people. He's restoring relationship. And if I can be a part of that, I think I've done my job, and hopefully I'll get a well done, good and faithful servant.
I think that's beautiful. Well, I really pray that you are able to do that. And I believe you are doing it as we speak, and that shift is being made right now in the lives of many people. Thank you so much for coming to Kingdom
Thanks,
Stories.
Nathaniel.
Well, how about that, lifting people higher? If you were lifted higher by listening to Mabel tonight, I really pray that you can take this message to heart and also apply it in your life so you can lift those people around you higher, especially your family, your close friends, and any other people the Lord gives you. I know you love this content, otherwise you wouldn't have stayed this far with us. Because you love it, we encourage you to share it. On whatever media platform you are watching or listening to this, we value your distribution channels also to your larger circle of friends and those people you influence. Kingdom Stories from Down Under is a weekly episode. It's a weekly show, and if you haven't journeyed with us for too long, there are plenty of shows already filmed on YouTube and also on the podcast you can listen to. And soon you will also hear from Dr. Chua, which is Mabel's husband, who is Mabel's husband. So he will also be on the show in the future episodes. So do stay with us and do come back next week as we bring you fresh content from Kingdom Stories from Down Under. Lord bless you.
Thank you for joining us on Kingdom Stories from Down Under. We'd love it if you would subscribe, rate, and share these stories with your wider community. And remember, every story is worth sharing, including yours.